Greetings and welcome back. Wow. I have a question. Have you ever looked back at the games you used to play as a kid and realised how stupid you really used to be? I discovered this a few years ago when I bought a copy of Wreckin Drive Dangerously. For years I'd often think back to one of my PlayStation games that I used to play. A certain cutscene that would always stick in my mind when I was a kid. There was just this certain cutscene that would stick. During the first Retro Collect video game market up in Leeds, I found this game again and immediately recognised the cover. All of the nostalgia I had for the title came rushing back and I just had to buy it. I just had to buy it there and then. I was Wreckin Crew. Wait a minute. That's the game, isn't it? I turned it over and looked at the back and I knew that was the game that I was thinking of. Wreckin Crew came out in 1998. Back then I was big into racing games, especially a certain... So, when I saw the cover with these crazy characters, the awesome hot rod and the tagline, blisteringly fast hot rod racing action, I just had to have it. I didn't care to peruse gaming magazines for reviews or anything like that. I just got it because of the cover art. What a stupid thing to do. Wreckin Crew was developed by Quick Draw Developments, and if you haven't heard of them, then I'm not surprised. The only other thing of note that they did that I can find was work on the 1998 Asteroids release, also for the PlayStation. The game was initially in development for the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn and the PC before the Saturn port was dropped, and it released on the PlayStation and PC in 1998. The game was published by Telstar Electronic Studios, who brought you such classics as On-Side Complete Soccer, Speed Rage, Jesus Christ, look at that cover, and Bubsy 3D. So I suppose we've got plenty to live up to then. After sifting through what is apparently a manual, it was finally time to revisit a game that I have such fond memories of as a kid. Wow, this is pretty bad. I only have good memories of this from when I was a kid, so what has changed and why does it suck now? Well, I'm glad you asked, because here's why. It starts off with the main menu. It's very basic, even for a PlayStation game, and the music, good God, the music! It's not the worst video game music out there, but after the first few loops of some drum and bass beat, it starts to grind on you pretty severely. But this is just the menus, we can't judge a game solely on its menus. And you're right. We can't. The game has 10 characters, each of them is absolutely nuts and I love it. The amount of work gone into these characters is great. Each one of them has their own backstory and even has their own cutscenes just to reinforce how insane they actually are. Just take a look at them. See? They're bloody nuts! The game takes place across various different maps. The tracks can get pretty lengthy and complex with shortcuts and secret areas, and they do look pretty impressive. They're colourful, they're vibrant, and they're quite nice to race around. So what's the bad? What is the bad in this game? The bad is the handling. The game itself appears to pass itself off as some sort of mature kart racer, very similar to Mario Kart but with a more mature yet still accessible theme. Every area within the game and the majority of the objects in those areas are 3D, except for the vehicles. Your vehicle and your opponent's vehicles are 2D sprites. The vehicles scale and rotate well, and the sprites are well done, but the handling is just awful. Driving in this game is like trying to drive a car with pencils for axles and fried eggs for wheels. You know in Mario Kart, when you turn your vehicle it will actually turn, and you get feedback on that by the fact that the sprite changes in relation to the direction you turn? Well, in this game that doesn't happen. You turn and then the vehicle turns, but the sprite slowly goes through turning frames which don't relate to how much your vehicle is actually turning, and because of this issue it is extremely difficult to actually make your way around a corner without crashing. Your vehicle will also turn in the same way no matter what speed you're doing. So you can't get used to how the vehicles handle at different speeds because they handle the same at all speeds. And God forbid you ever drive your car into a tunnel or underneath something, because the game immediately zooms the camera to a first person perspective, something which you can never get used to. There is a competition mode in the game where you race against the other wacky characters in these crazy environments, but this is probably the most difficult part of the game, and even on easy it's nearly impossible to complete a race. I've already mentioned how irritating the handling is, but couple that with the AI that doesn't have to contend with the bad handling, and you'll be lucky to get very far without a lot of practice and a lot of repetition. When you eventually do get used to the handling, you will inevitably hit one of the booster power-ups which will triple the speed of your vehicle, and you'll just plough straight into the nearest wall, and then proceed to be overtaken by everybody else. Again, I've already mentioned how annoying the music is. You can turn this off, which is nice, but another issue here is the sound effects. There are enough of them and they're pretty crisp and unique, but the engine sounds. Good God, listen to those engine sounds. It sounds like a wasp trapped inside a tin of beans. All in all though, I would say Wrecking Crew Drive Dangerously is a good game with nice visuals and a polished look that is let down by an extremely poor handling model and a repetitive soundtrack. The characters are interesting and have been well developed, the areas that you race in are detailed, crisp and colourful, and it offers a multiplayer mode for you and a friend to battle it out over split screen, but be prepared for a lot of swearing and broken controllers if you do. Now, I'm probably exaggerating with the bad points of this game, and when you get used to it and take it slowly, it isn't the worst experience, but taking it slow doesn't win you races, and it certainly doesn't unlock this guy. And it doesn't unlock this guy either. For that fact, I would only recommend this game to those of you out there who want to look at some interesting environments, witness some great cutscenes, but other than that, just don't bother with it. That is a shame, because it could have been a great kart racer if it wasn't for the handling. It's definitely no Mario Kart in the control department, and it's barely even a Coffin Dodgers, to be honest. Yeah, don't play that game either. Wrecking Crew for the PlayStation. A game that I used to have fond memories of as a kid, and now it's basically shit.